so this brings us to Seth Moulton. Seth Moulton is that dude running for president, and he's incredibly boring and nobody cares. But he just unveiled one of the things that makes him, I guess, minimally unique is that he's calling for a national service plan. I think Pete Buttigieg also calls for something similar. And he kind of laid out his plan on what that would look like. So somebody tweeted this to me. So let's go through Seth Moulton's plan of national service. I'm sure it's going to be boring, just like everything else he stands for, which is mostly just a whole lot of nothing. He is maybe the most boring candidate in the race of all the Democrats, and that is saying a whole hell of a lot. But he is probably the most boring. Pete Buttigieg at least has like some interesting things about him, mildly interesting. And actually, his issues page, it wasn't great, but it was better than I was expecting. And keep when I say this, my expectations was on the floor. He actually said something about a Green New Deal. I was surprised to even see that verbiage on his website. So again, my very low expectations, it was better than I was expecting. He doesn't actually support Medicare for all. He kind of has this mealy mouth, like, pathway. But anyway, he's more interesting as a human being. Let's get into this idea Seth Moulton has. All right, so here, and the margins on this are shitty. There's his face. All right, so presidential candidate Representative Seth Moulton unveils his national service proposal, and here he is. He's like, here's my national service proposal, and don't worry, I'm cool with war. Burp, burp, burp. All right, so Seth Moulton, who's a veteran, he released his National Service Education Guarantee Plan Sunday to encourage young Americans to serve their country. And the options are in the military, in AmeriCorps, in FEMA Corps, or in the Federal Green Corps, which is something he would create if he's elected. And their task, the Federal Green Corps task, is supposed to combat climate change and help the environment. I have a feeling if anything like this ever became law, that the Green Corps would get the least amount of attention. I have a feeling this would basically just be a thing to increase enlistment in the military. And the Green Initiative would be sort of an afterthought at best, similar to how Democrats have been since about 2008. We talk about green jobs. We also talk about all of the above. And what do we focus on? That all of the above, the above part. The green and all the above. The above part's what we're worried about. And by above, we mean going underground. We mean drill, baby, drill. So, but this is Seth Moulton's plan. All right, let's see if there's more to this. All right, so the Marine veteran described his plan as an investment in the future, saying, if you invest in America, then America will invest in you, he said. That's a really easy pitch to generations of people who have known nothing but recessions and war. That's a really easy pitch. That's really, tell someone who's 18 or in their 20s or even in their 30s. Be like, hey, we'll invest in you. Really, you will? With all the not jobs that are here? With all the crippling amounts of debt, that's an investment. Don't you see education as an investment in a person? Because guess what? It is. Meanwhile, in this country, if you want to go to school, you have to face crippling debt or be privileged in the first place. But America wants to invest in people, Seth Moulton? Really? That's an interesting sell. That's an interesting sell. Oh, and it's kind of bullshit. If you wanted to invest in people, you would invest in living wages. You would invest in free college. But let's move on with this. So, sorry about these margins, by the way. Modeled on the GI Bill, the plan would establish an education benefit for those who would serve and would expand the president's cabinet. And this would be done by creating a secretary position for the lead administrator of a renamed and restructured National Community Service Administration. So many of the 2020 presidential candidates have released education policies, with some focusing on free college tuition, but Moulton's pitch emphasizes on public service and allocates money for those who serve towards education and job training benefits, including an option for vocational schools. Basically, he wants a quid pro quo. Some people just see education as a public good, and by some people, I mean most other industrialized countries in the world. Not in the U.S., though. Here, we got We got to do a quid pro quo. You got to give us this service, and then maybe we'll give you a discount on education. This almost sounds like a Republican response to free college in many ways. Like, this almost sounds like if Democrats were actually unison in proposing free college, a Republican response would be, well, how about we just have service that's not mandatory but kind of is, because Seth Moulton's thing isn't mandatory, by the way, it's expected. That's in the article. We don't need to keep going through this. I'm already bored talking about this subject. But anyway, Seth Moulton, his thing is you're expected to do this service, and if you do this service, then you're going to get a discount on your education. That sounds like something Republicans would propose as an alternative to free college. But this isn't being proposed by a Republican. This is being proposed by a Democrat. And by the way, Democrats aren't even in unison on the concept of free college. Again, when it comes to a year of service, I would say that's sort of skipping quite a few steps ahead. Instead of trying to enact something like that, we should instead enact policies where people have a little bit more breathing room, so a decision like that would be more feasible for them. Some people, by the time they're 18, they're working 2 and 3 jobs. The idea of college is a fantasy to them because they can't even consider taking on the debt. Some people have families by that age. Some people, you get the idea. So I think that before we enact something like that, we need to take some steps into making our environment more sustainable, literally and figuratively. So once again, I think this is not the right priority right now, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I mean, we should be focusing on creating a better contemporary society out the gate, making education a public good, having free college, having living wages, creating a society where giving a year of service is a more feasible proposition for young people, as opposed to saying, oh, if you do this, we'll give you a little something in return. We'll help out with your education. You give us this year of service. And I have a feeling the military will be the most emphasized out of that. I have a feeling that will be the organization most emphasized. But all right, so there's that. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and